Howdy folks, and welcome to this episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. Well, here in Iowa, it's turning cold. The high yesterday was 77 degrees. I took advantage of that and I winterized my boats. They are completely winterized now, ready to sleep in a lean-to or in a shed or in a garage without freezing, cracking blocks, or destroying anything else. Removed all the important electronics off the boat, stored them inside. So, now, today, it's 38 flipping degrees outside. It's cold and windy and rainy. And you know how hard it is to test an outboard motor when it's cold and windy and rainy? I tried it last weekend. I had a heck of a time. So with that information in mind, we're going to have to build us a test tank that I can run indoors in my heated shop, because that way the water won't freeze. But I also got to prevent myself from getting asphyxiated. If you guys see me run some of these outboards in the videos, they give off some smoke, a decent amount of smoke. And sometimes you get a little smoky outside. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to keep the smoke from killing me. I have some pretty good idea how to do it. And let me show you what I have in mind. And then we're going to get started and see if it works. Hopefully, at the end of this video, the goal is you will see a motor in this test tank working. And that way I can go the rest of the winter working on the rest of these outboards I have to do and film for you guys and get them out there so you know how to work on your own outboards in the future. I apologize for any noise you might hear. Every now and then the heater might be kicking on, the wind generator's making power. I can't complain about that. And then occasionally I'm gonna have to kill some flies. Doggone things. Oh, we landed. Ha! He's gone. Ha! Anyway, let's get after it. I'm going to back this up and show you what I'm thinking about doing and what I am going to do. A little bit of fabrication, but I guarantee you, in this video, you will see an outboard running indoors. For how long? That's yet to be determined. On with the show. All right, what we have here is a big old plastic tote. You see these things around and about in different areas, different facilities, different shipping docks, different whatever. I've had this tote around here for no less than 10 years. I moved this tote here from another house. We've lived here for over 8 years. So I've hung on to this. This thing was out in a lean-to. It was disgustingly dirty. And I've got it, power washed it yesterday, got it cleaned up because it was 77 yesterday, not today. I already have a spigot on the bottom to let water out when I need to let water out. I did that because back in its previous life, I was actually collecting rainwater and using that to water my garden. That actually worked really well. And it's a lot of storage. And this has, it's like 250 gallons up to here. So this one is a 250 gallon tote to give you an idea of its size. My plan is to cut this front bar out right here, cut the tote here and put a board, a 2x in front. I've got this hardware here, some U-bolts that will wrap around this and hold on to my 2x across the front here. That way I can clamp my motor in place. I've got this blower motor here. That was a lot of fresh air. Woo! Got this blower motor here that happens to have intake here, nice round intake. Booyah! And a nice round exhaust, which is 4-inch. Booyah! Fit right over there, nice flexible metal tube. And oh, I dropped it. And a handy dandy flapper valve exhaust vent that'll go through my wall and vent this all outside, angled down so rain can't get in. Screw holes to fasten it and seal it up against the building. Comes through the building to the inside of the building, from the exhaust through the intake. The intake's going to go from here. It's going to have an elbow that goes down into the tank. Into the tank! I ain't kidding about this. It's real. It's real. So, in the back corner here, opposite of where the motor's gonna be, this is gonna be a whole tunnel of air inside this container, above the water and below the lid. I can put this tube feeding into here so it's sucking all of its air from inside, up through this tube back here, and then outdoors. It should negatively draft this container so it pulls all the smoke, any exhaust, anything that's coming off that motor and blow it outside. Now you can go, Michael, that's not environmentally safe. It would be running outside in a barrel anyway. It'd be running outside on an outboard in a boat anyway. So don't get on my back about environmental. Boo. So we're gonna take this. We're gonna construct this today. I got a place in my shop. I'm gonna park it in the corner. We can fill it full of water. We can run this exhaust. We can see how it's all gonna function. I'm excited about this. Can you tell? Can you tell I'm excited? Because I can work on more outboard motors indoors. I can work on more outboard motors indoors. Easy. Anyway, that's good stuff. Without further ado, you guys can watch what I'm gonna do. Now I've taken a measurement on a long shaft motor and all the way down to the bottom of the skeg to where it mounts has to be at least 32 inches on the long shaft. And if I'm looking at here going to the bottom of the tote, 32 inches is about right here. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is 38's up here. I can fill the water up to here. I think the plan is going to be to cut this bar out. That gives me enough width. It looks to me like I need to have the board right up to the top here, because that'll give me plenty of water column here to work with. It's going to be a little tall, but honestly it's not much taller than the engine stands that I'm working on. Most of the engine stands that I'm working on are around 42 inches tall. That's 45 up to here. So by the time I lay a board, say somewhere across here like that, that's going to be spiffy. Because then I can lay the outboard in there. Where I cut the plastic, I can pull the plastic up tight against the board with some screws. I think it'll miss everything, and I gotta cut. I think I'll cut this back far enough. I'm gonna take this one bar out that's right here. Matter of fact, let's do some more measuring. Get one of these crazy measuring devices. It looks like from the front of the board, well, the front of the board would be back to 15 inches. Boy, if I take it back right to that bar, that'll be just enough room to set the motor in. And I'm actually measuring a 25 horse I have here to see how much room I got for a 25. Because I want to be able to run a 25. I mean, up to a 50 horse motor in here and have room for it. So measuring some of the motors I've got around here. The old Frankenstein over here is going to take about 18, so from the front of the board. So that might have to go past the bar. We're going to start off cutting it here. I can always make it bigger. That's not a big deal. I can't make it smaller after I've made it bigger is the problem. So let's get the Sawzall out. Let's cut that off. I'm going to go ahead and cut this board off so I can actually wrap this around the corner if I wanted to and attach another board to it here. So I'm going to cut it to the length that allows me to do that in case I need more stabilization. If not, this will also be a great place to hang your fuel line connections and stuff when they're not in use. Well, so far so good. What I'm going to do, normally boats are pitched back at a 15-degree angle. I think the transom's around 15 degrees, if I remember correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 15-degree wedge back in here to help make contact up top, or maybe just a piece of square stock that makes up that difference. So when I tighten these up, it pulls it up tight. Because right now, if I was to pull that up like it would be on a transom, the motor would be kicked out too far. But right about there is about where I want it because it sits pretty much level there, which is fine. And there's plenty of water in front of the prop here and a ton of water behind the prop. Now you can see how this thing's starting to play out. When I throttle this thing up on my old barrel, it would just slosh out. In a round barrel, it's hard to control it. Now I've got probably, well, I'm not even going to make a guess. I'm going to give you an accurate number. I've got over 32 inches of water behind the prop. So when I'm pushing water, it's going to go back, hit that back wall and circle around. And so I'll be able to throttle this thing up and not make a big catastrophic wet mess. And then I think I'm going to retain this piece of plastic here that I cut out. And I may have to reshape it a little bit, but I might have it so it sits down in here and controls, because all these will have a pee hole, and to make sure that water goes in the pee hole and not all over the top of this thing. So anyway, I think we're off to a good start. Or I might make a little adapter that covers the pee hole here and funnels it back down. So far so good. That's as solid as it's going to get. I mean, that thing has no wiggle in it. And once you put about, let's call it 180, 200 gallons of water in here, this is rock solid. And this frame is, it's actually more substantial than you think it is. Especially when I use these U-bolts and I wrapped around 4 of these posts, I tied all this back together. This is one thing that doesn't move independent of the other any longer. Ooh, another fly, I gotta get him. Oh, missed him. Dang it. But now I think what I need to work on is ventilation. Let's see what we got to do to get ventilation. I've got this other board here that can actually go across the top of this, and I can do the same thing with those little U-bolts, is I can U-bolt it down to the top of the frame. We'll figure that one out. But yeah, I want to be able to mount this thing down. Let's talk about that a little bit. Now let's talk through this a little bit and see what I can come up with. I'd like to have a board going all the way across to set this on, so it's a nice solid mount, doesn't move, doesn't shift. And I bought this flange here because this can go through an opening, and you bend these tabs up and it locks it into place, and then you have a 4-inch ductwork piece to come off of there. And then I've got this flexible hose here. That'll be able to go over it and put a clamp on it and seal off, but then I can flex it and bend it wherever I need to go which is going to be straight into the side of this mammer jammer here. And since I couldn't find 4-inch, this is like 4.5 for that flange. So what I did, I'm going to actually put a piece like this, a adapter piece like this over it. That'll turn it into 4-inch. That way I now have my vacuum. But then on the other side, I want to be able to come out of this, like this here is 4-inch. So I can come over the top of this thing, put a clamp on it and hold it in place, and then take this other end. Hopefully I'm getting all this in the shot. I don't know if I am. Let me double check. So when this exhausts out, I can come out into this 4-inch thing that's going to be sticking out of my wall. So that's the game plan. I want to measure twice and cut once on this because I really don't want to screw this tub up and have a hole in it I don't need and all that kind of fun stuff. But I think we got, I think what I might do when I cut this board to length, I'll have it overhang. And instead of notching it into here, I might put a piece of wood on either side of it. And that'll keep it from sliding back and forth. And then what I might do then is just get me a couple of J-hooks and bolt that down with a couple of J-hooks. Alrighty, let me catch you up with the progress. We have this bolted down with 4 3/8-inch bolts through this 2x. I put a little rubber pad under these corners. Thought it may dampen some vibration. I don't really think it does. It's not like the vibration is that horrible. We've got this piece placed on here. We got 4 screws going in to hold it in place. I also put silicone around here to seal it up. Not that as much vacuum as this thing has and much, you know, what it's going to do. The silicone is just an added luxury at this point. I don't think it really would make much difference. I've got the flange fitting 4-inch hole put down in here in the bottom with those bend out tabs that hold it in place. So I got the 2 firmly affixed to the tank here. When I do turn this thing on, I feel that I can hold my hand over the hole where the motor's at, and I can feel a severe draft. So far it feels like that's it's going to work. It seems like it's going to work. Why wouldn't it? But yeah, whatever's going down in the tank is going to get sucked and blown outside, which is really, really cool. Let's back up here. I'll show you. I got the 2x here, and I put a couple of J-bolts. They're basically J-shaped bolts that go down and hook underneath this lip here, underneath this bar. Got 4 of those, 2 on each end. That holds this bar, or this board, rock solid. It's actually coming along pretty good. I'm pretty excited about this. So let's drag it over into place and see if it's gonna fit, and then we'll get busy putting a hole in the wall for that bad mammer jammer right there. Alrighty folks, we got it installed. She's in place. We got the ducting going outside. Hit the on button there. kicks on the fan, which you can actually feel air drafting around this motor right here. So it's going to suck anything happening here down and out the building. I will put a carbon monoxide tester right there. That'll also warn me if there's any buildup actually happening in the building before it becomes a problem. So let's go ahead and finish filling this tank up, and then we'll try to start this motor. Alrighty, I ended up putting a little 4-horse in there that I know runs, just to give it a test, see how things are going to work. You have to choke this one to kill it, so I think you're going to see a lot of smoke boil out of here when I first start it. And I want you to take notice, see if we can see this smoke. I'm hoping you can on camera. I really hope you can. And then I'm going to kick the fan on, and you're going to watch all that smoke disappear. Are you ready? See a lot of fumes coming out of there. Now watch this. They're gone. Instantly that fan comes on. Now we got this in gear running. Well, there you have it, folks. I have an indoor test tank. It will not freeze in the winter because my shop has a little bit of warmth to it. And I've got a way to exhaust the fumes so I don't kill myself. And this thing seems to work great. The only thing I need to do yet is figure out how to protect water from splashing directly up into that pipe when I've got it in gear and revving it. Now what I did do is I was able to turn this to the I don't know which way to call that, right, left. You do that to go left, so, but anyway, then it caused the water to circulate around in a circle. I could open up wide open, kept the water from going up and splashing up into this exhaust fan. This thing sucks a lot of air, so any kind of splash, it's just sucking any splash up in there, so, but it definitely sucks the fumes out. It was, I hope it got it on camera, but when this thing was, you see the cloud of smoke starting to boil out of here. As soon as this came on, you saw it go woof, and it was just gone like a ghost. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's really rigid. It's really solid. Now that I've got like 200 gallons of water in here, you can't move it. It's locked down. Now, if I had a pallet jack, I could get in here and move it with a pallet jack, but I don't have one, and I don't need to move it. Down at the bottom, I can easily put a hose on it, turn the valve on, and drain it out. So my hopes are when this thing gets water like this in a 2-stroke tank will get oily. So I am going to rig up some kind of oil skimmer that I can hang on the side and let sit there and skim the oil off the water, so to keep my water as clean as possible. I use it for as long as possible and not waste too much water. Plus it'll get the oil off the water so I can dispose of it properly. I don't know what else to say, folks. I'm just tickled as can be that I'll be able to do some testing and tuning in here. I think I'm going to get the old 18-horse fast twin back in here so I can run it some more and do some tweaking. When I was trying to tweak and tune, it was cold and it was windy that day, and my hands were numb, and you can't spend a lot of time focusing and working carefully when you're cold. So that'll fix that. I won't be cold when I'm doing this one. Plus, I have a way to get the fumes out of here because that thing smoked a lot. When you got it set up a little bit too rich and you got a little bit too much fuel going and not enough air, you'll smoke like crazy, and that's what I was tweaking out. And it was just clouds billowing up around my head when it was outside. Nice thing about this is there won't be any smoke billowing up around my head. It's going to take it all outside away from me. I won't have to smell anything. When this thing's running, you can't even tell there's just 2-stroke motor running in here. You can't even smell the smoke. It's going right outside. So that's pretty cool. Well, I hope this inspired somebody to possibly do something like this. This was on the cheap. A good friend of mine donated this blower to me. It came off, this one, it came off one of those slides, I guess. That's you put one of them inflatable slides that you have by a pool. That's why it has a GFI plug on it. And the inflatable thing went away many years ago. This has been sitting out in this building for like 12 years. He gave it to me. I'm much appreciated there. Shout out to my friend for doing that. I don't know if he'd want me to mention his name or not, but he'll know who I'm talking about. And then, so between the piece of wood, I had this piece of wood. I bought another piece of wood. I think between this piece of wood, and the hardware, boy, if I've got 30 bucks wrapped up in this, I'd be surprised. I'd be real surprised, 30 bucks. So, and I couldn't be happier with the results. So I know I paid just for this tank, I think I paid 50 bucks for it like 10 years ago. So anyway, I've got less than 100 bucks wrapped up in it. It's working like a charm. You guys want to do something like this? Please make sure if you're going to do something like this indoors, do what I'm going to do. I want to put a carbon monoxide tester right here so that if this is going to be the area where fumes can happen, and I want to make sure that there's no carbon monoxide buildup in the building while I'm running this thing. It should be exhausting it all outside. Better safe than dead. That's no doubt there, folks. All right, this is Michael. I had a good time doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed it with me. Get out there and have some fun, folks. Leave some questions and comments down below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. That helps me out a lot. Just keep hitting me that thumbs up. I much appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, you want to see some more content coming your way, don't worry, it's coming your way. I've got 22 to 25 motors in the shop right now that needs repaired. These are all my motors that I purchased non-running, and my goal is this winter to get them all running. So there's a wide variety of ages and sizes that I'll be working on. Hopefully one of them is the same motor you have, so we can learn together how to get it back on the water next spring so we can have a good fishing trip, or just out there motoring around enjoying the sights that are out on lakes. This is Michael, and I'm out.